Welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today we have the 2024 Honda Accord Touring Hybrid. And I'm going to tell you why this might be one of the best midsize sedans on the market today. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if this is content you're after, or you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. So what we're dealing with here is the 11th generation of the Honda Accord. And boy, it might be one of the best Accords of all time. Now, I know there was a lot of people that when this car launched had a lot of feelings about its exterior design, especially since so many people like the 10th gen Honda Accord. But this car's been on sale for a year now, and I think the styling has really matured and grown into a very, very good design. So let's talk about the changes not only to the 11th gen Accord, but what's specific to this all-in Touring Hybrid trim. Now, the pricing for the 11th gen Accord starts at just under $28,000 MSRP. But if you work your way up the trim lineup and go all the way to this Touring Hybrid, it's actually $38,890 MSRP. So still less than 40 grand. And when you see all the features, text, and performance you get out of this new hybrid system, that starts to look like a really good deal. So up front, let's talk about the exterior design. The color of the car we have today is solar silver metallic. So a very simple silver, but what that does is really help to show off all of the character lines. Now on the 11th gen Accord, they went with a really clean sheet metal design. Very, very straight lines coming down the hood to meet this aggressive front fascia. You have the large Honda badge up front and this aggressive black grille design here. And you also get 4 parking sensors on this top trim as well. Down below, you kind of got a gloss black lip and silver accents down in the corners. Now those are painted black on like the sport trims and other trims, but here on the top trim, these pieces here are actually painted silver. Now with the car being silver, they kind of blend right in, but on some of the darker color cars, they stand out a little bit more. The Accords come with full LED headlights and daytime running lights, and they look really aggressive. They're just like a straight LED light, so it looks really aggressive coming up behind you. As we make our way to the side of the vehicle, you'll see that the Honda Accord is really, it's a mid-size sedan, but it's quite long, right? It's a very, very big vehicle, but what that means is you also get a lot of space, which we'll get to on the interior section. But on the top Touring Hybrid, you get an awesome wheel and tire package. So these are 235 40R 19-inch wheels and tires, and it's a Berlina black wheel machine finish. Let us know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. I think it looks really premium, right? And it helps to fill in the wheel wells, again, with this being such a big vehicle. Now, as I mentioned up front, you have that black lower lip that carries the entire length of the vehicle from the side all the way to the rear. Again, you can see on the side profile has this very, very sharp character line that goes all the way the length of the vehicle. You do get LED turn signals on this top trim. You know, they got the chrome surround up top. You do have the smart entry on the front door handles as well. And again, Accord just has a really kind of clean sheet metal design. So we'll make our way to the rear of the vehicle. I think this might be the best view of the Accord, because what they did for this 11th gen design is they kind of connected the rear tail light. So not only is it a true full LED tail light cluster, but like I said, the fact that they kind of combined it and created this light bar that goes the entire length of the deck lid, I think that really helps create a premium design language for Accord. Now, one of the things you might notice is, you know, the Honda actual badge here in the center is kind of small, especially compared to some other models and trims. You do have the Accord badging here on the left, as well as the trim badging in Touring and labeled Hybrid, being that this is the top trim hybrid spec as well. You also got those 4 rear parking sensors, of course, rear view camera, and this nice gloss black trim down below, but no exposed exhaust finishers. So overall, like I said, the car has a really clean design language. If you guys haven't watched our other video of the Honda Accord Sport L Hybrid, be sure to check that one out as well so you can see the design differences between the sport trims and the more luxurious touring trims. So with that, next, let's go ahead and hop inside to talk about the interior. All right, guys, here we are inside the Honda Accord Touring Hybrid. So with this being the top trim, it comes fully loaded. So let's jump right into it. So the steering wheel, again, typical Honda fashion. It's a nice size diameter. It's leather wrapped. There's no contrast stitching, but it still feels really nice in your hands. Very intuitive controls. You got your volume controls on the left. You got all your safety and cruise control functions on the right. There are paddle shifters here, but it's really to control the regen braking. So we'll talk about that in the powertrain section. You've got your turn signal and lights on the left, and all of your windshield wiper functions on the right. So very intuitive there. As we look at the materials throughout though, it's a pretty nice place to be. There's lots of soft touch materials, not only including here along the dash, but even the door linings here. There's a lot of soft materials. So on the door linings, you actually do get some contrast stitching, which is a nice touch as well. You get auto up and down windows for the front, and some basic controls. You do get memory seating on the driver's side as well. So there is 10-way driver adjustability, so that is really nice. On the passenger side, you also get some power seats as well. So again, good functionality all throughout. The dash design of the Accord is really, really clean. So it's kind of an even more sophisticated grille design that they did here for the HVAC vents. It's not a carryover from the Civic or some of the other Honda models. It's specific to the Accord. And in fact, it's kind of got these like flat like joysticks here to adjust the vents, but they're really easy to use, and I think it helps with positioning the airflow as well. Down below here, you got hard buttons for all your HVAC controls, your climate control, so that's really nice. And with this being the top trim, you also not only get 3-stage heated seats, you also get 3-stage ventilated seats as well, and they're really strong. That's important to point out, because sometimes the ventilated seats aren't really powerful. They don't really blow a lot of cold air on you. So these do, and they do a really good job. As I look down here in the center console area, it's a very clean design. Both sides are like padded with contrast stitching, which is nice because I know some people like to rest their knees up against the side of this, so the fact that there's nice materials there is a bonus. There's 2 USB-C charging ports. One is for data, one is for charging itself. Down below that is a spot to put your phone for the wireless charging pad, so that's nice. You got 2 large cup holders here, a mechanical gear shift lever, and then behind that you have the drive modes, which again we'll cover in the powertrain section. You also get a little button that says E for EV mode. We'll talk about that later as well. And then you have an electronic parking brake and brake hold function. Inside the center console area, a lot of space down there, 12-volt socket inside, so really nice feature there. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the technology inside the car. So it comes with a 10.2-inch digital instrument cluster, and it's actually a really high-tech display. Not only does it let you customize it and show your speed, your audio, you can actually bring the maps on here. Now, it doesn't take the entire screen up. It takes up like maybe half of the digital instrument cluster, but it still looks really nice to be able to bring the Google Maps display onto the screen right in front of you. And what's really cool is, especially if you're into all the safety and ADAS technologies, it does have a little Accord in front of you. And when you go into like full adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist, the gauge cluster like changes entirely, and it gives you information of the vehicles around you as well. So that's a really, really nice feature. There's also a full color head-up display on this trim, so that's a very nice premium feature to have. But it's really about this center display here. So this is a 12.3-inch full color touchscreen, and it's a really high resolution screen. The cool thing about it is that it has Google built in, and like we've talked about that on some other videos, but just real quick, I'll give you a recap of what that is. So it's 3 key applications. So it's the Google Maps, the Google Assistant, and the Google Play Store, which allows you to download apps over the air. It's a really, really nice feature to have. Beyond that, you can always use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and they're both wired and wireless on this trim as well. So that tech, having it in this price point in this car, is a big deal. There's even a little power button here, as well as volume adjustment. So it kind of stands out being the only button up here, but at least they gave you a physical control for your volume. Last thing, a couple high-end features it has. It does have a 12-speaker premium Bose audio system, which sounds really good given its price point. and it does have an opening and closing moonroof as well. So I think that about covers everything up front. Next, let's go ahead and hop in the rear to talk about the space. All right, guys, here we are in the rear of the Honda Accord Touring Hybrid. So there is a ton of space back here. Like I said, the Accord has definitely grown in size throughout the generations, definitely grown in length. But like I said, it makes a huge difference on the inside here. I have a ton of space. Now, again, I'm about 5'10", and this is what would be my driver position right here. But I mean, you can see I have so much knee room, leg room here, plenty of space for my feet down there. It almost feels like a limo to be sitting back here. So really, really good space. It's a true 5-passenger vehicle. Admittedly, there is a little bit of a hump in the floor, but even then, you could easily fit 3 full-size adults back here. No problem fitting child seats, you know, forward-facing or rear-facing back here. There's even this little leather pad that you pull down, and then it quickly exposes the latches. So in a sense, again, this could easily be a family vehicle for you. Here in the center, you have this kind of very large armrest that folds down, and there's cup holders here. It's nice and cushy, got some contrast stitching as well. So really good, you know, use of space there. Down here in the center, you do have HVAC vents that are adjustable, but you can't control the temperature. That has to be done up front. On this trim, you do get 2 USB-C charging ports back here as well. You get 1 map pocket on the passenger side. And as we look to the doors, again, you still get a lot of the same soft touch materials that you do up front. You get a few more speakers back here for that 12-speaker Bose sound system. And also what's nice is on this top trim, these outboard seats, they're actually heated as well. And it's a 3-stage heated seat in the rear, which is nice. The button is actually here on the door, and so it's you might be looking for it at first. It's actually right here, and you just push it 2 or 3 times to set your heat, and obviously you have a window control back here as well. So again, there's a lot of space back here. But next, let's go ahead and check out the cargo area. All right, guys, here we are to talk about the cargo of the Honda Accord Touring Hybrid. So first, I have a little key fob with me, and it does have lock, unlock, and a remote engine start function. So you just push the lock button and then push and hold the remote engine start. It's like a little half circle icon, and then that will start the vehicle. So nice feature to have. But next to that is the trunk release button. Now, one of the nice features on the Accord is that the trunk release is actually spring loaded, right? So it's not power or anything, but when you push and hold down the button, the trunk kind of just like shoots itself open. So really nice feature to have, especially if you're holding something, you got a lot of goods. In back, it's pretty cavernous, and I want to say that Accord is probably best in class when it comes to cargo space area. There's actually 16.7 cubic feet of space back here, and there's even latches here and here to fold down the 60/40 folding rear seats. Other than that, you got a couple hooks to hold your goods. This space here actually, there's a little bit of underfloor storage space, and there's actually a TRK, or a tire repair kit. It's pretty nice, right? In that instance where you got to check your tire pressure, fill up your tires. It even has the ability to do the fix a flat function, but no spare, just that TRK. So with that, next, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain. All right, guys, here we are with the powertrain of the Honda Accord Touring Hybrid. So this uses Honda's new 2-motor hybrid system. So let's jump right into the specs. In this configuration, it makes 204 system horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque from 0 RPM, because this thing essentially acts and drives like an EV. So it's a very complicated powertrain, but just to kind of simplify it for you. So essentially you have this 2-liter 4-cylinder Atkinson engine. It's mated to 2 motors. There's one that it spins to actually act as a generator. That's feeding energy to the small lithium-ion battery. From there, that energy then gets put out to the traction motor, which is actually driving the wheels. And in most cases, I'd say easily 90+% of the time, it's that motor that's actually driving the front wheels, not the engine, not that generator function. It's that single traction motor. Now, in some cases, what Honda does at cruising speeds, they'll then actually use the engine and it's connected with the shaft to drive the front wheels. That's just to help with cruising and to maximize efficiency at that cruising state. Outside of that, like I said, in most cases, since it's just that traction motor driving the front wheels, essentially this car is a BEV. It really is, and it feels that way when you're driving it, but there's no better way to prove that out than to get behind the wheel. So next, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive. All right, guys, here we are inside the Honda Accord Touring Hybrid. We're going to go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So go ahead and throw on my seatbelt and foot on the brake, hit the power button, and there you go. The car's on. It's super quiet, right? Obviously, it's hot out, so I've got the AC on. You might hear a little bit of that, but that's going to be necessary. So let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive. We'll talk about some of the drive modes, how the deceleration paddles work, things like that. So here we go. We take off and we're in the normal driving mode. So first thing you're going to notice is that the car is, like I said, really, really quiet. You get a little bit of the sound that's required for low speed driving with hybrids and EVs, but outside of that kind of like humming sound, you really don't get a whole lot. You know, the car is very, very quiet. Like I explained in the powertrain section, in most cases, it's going to be that outside traction motor that's actually driving the wheels, not the engine itself, you know. So in most cases, again, it behaves like an electrified vehicle. So we'll go ahead and there's a little hill here we can climb. Which is not always great for, you know, hybrids, right? Because you start to deplete the battery. But one of the things about the system here is that the battery never actually depletes itself all the way to zero. There's essentially a logic built into place to say that the battery gets to about 20% or about 2 bars on the meter and over here on the display. And so at that point, if it does get down that low, you will hear the engine, you know, spinning a little bit more. You'll get a little bit more of that sound because it's trying to charge the battery back up, but it never will get down to zero. So here we are driving in normal mode, and the steering's a good way. You know, the car's you know, very, very quiet, very, very refined, premium inside for sure. Also, if I go ahead and just switch through the drive modes to show you, so you get some graphics here on the center display, and now I'm in Econ mode. So there's Econ, Normal, Sport, and then individual drive mode as well. So in Econ mode, instantly, it didn't really feel like it changed a lot to the steering, maybe got a little bit lighter, but essentially you can notice it dialed back the throttle, right? It dialed back the throttle as well as any sound that you're getting from the engine. It's pretty quiet, and I think this is obviously going to be the best fuel efficiency driving mode. Now, the numbers for the particular trim that we have here, they are a little bit less than some of the entry trims because this has the most feature content in it, which means it's heavier, and it also has the largest 19-inch wheels that you can get. But despite that, we'll show it down below, but the fuel ratings to me are still really good. So you get 46 miles per gallon in the city, 41 miles per gallon on the highway, and 44 miles per gallon combined. So those are really good numbers, I think, all things considered, right? The size of this vehicle, the wheel and tire package is riding on, having all this feature content in here. To me, those are really good ratings, and I think you can easily best them if you don't drive too aggressive. So I'm driving in Econ mode. I'll switch back up into normal instantly without even a change to my foot. You know, the throttle response has changed and picked up, and the steering, like I said, maybe got a little bit heavier. But next, I'll go ahead and drive in sport mode. So I push up, and there I can also feel that the throttle's, you know, dialed up a little bit more in sport mode. But also, what's really noticeable is the steering. I can feel a big difference in the weight of the steering. It's much heavier now in sport mode. Now, it's not overly heavy or anything like that, but it's instantly noticeable changing the drive mode. Also, the gauges kind of have like a red, hue to them now, so they did change with that as well. So that's pretty nice. Lastly, I'll show you the individual mode. You get an animation here in the center display. Here you can click customize, and they give you essentially 4 areas that you can control. So the first one is powertrain, which is set at normal. Steering, You also can control the active cruise controls. That's interesting. And then also you can change the gauge layout that I was just talking about. So each of those, you would click on it, and then it gives you a few options. So for example, on the Powertrain, it lets you go Econ, Normal, or Sport. So again, it's nice that you can kind of piecemeal these options yourself and choose the best driving mode for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in Sport mode. And since we're at a stoplight, I'm gonna go ahead and do a full wide open throttle to get an idea of the acceleration. So there we go, all in. You can definitely hear the engine working, but pretty quick. And then there is 60. So pretty quick acceleration given that it's a hybrid. Now, they haven't released 0 to 60 numbers or anything like that, but seat of the pants feeling is probably like high 6 seconds. Like, it's actually legitimately quick. Again, I know that's what this car is not for, but the fact that you can still have, you know, pretty good performance and amazing fuel efficiency seems like the best of both worlds to me. So with that, like I said, I'm driving around in sport mode. Let's talk about the deceleration paddles. So there's a minus on the left side, a plus on the right. If you pull back, it goes a single level of deceleration at a time, and there's up to 6 levels. And the 6th level, the most aggressive level, is almost like one pedal driving, like that same level of, you know, deceleration. So I'm gonna pull, I'm in the 6th right now. It's slowing me down, and only at the very end am I like kind of pushing into the brakes to actually slow the vehicle to a complete stop. Other than that, it does feel like an EV in that like kind of one pedal driving mode. So the other thing that's interesting is, so if you were driving in the normal mode and then you push the deceleration paddles, after a few moments, eventually it'll go back to the default and that menu drops away. But if you're in the sport driving mode like I'm in now, not only do you get the D for the drive, but you get a little M next to it that says manual. And what that means is, in the sport driving mode, the deceleration paddles actually will keep the region the whole time. So if you set it on the 6th level, the most aggressive level, it'll just stay there the whole time, which is good, the fact that it remembers it, but it's also a little bad because if you kind of forget that you're in the most aggressive mode and then you take your foot off, like, the car slows down really quickly. So anyway, you just got to get used to that, especially if you're going to be driving in sport mode a lot. The last thing that I'll talk about here, I'll go back into the normal driving mode, is there's this little blue button that says E. Now, if you push it and you have enough battery, or you're in the right drive mode, clearly I'm not, what it'll do is the vehicle will drive in EV mode. So it'll basically, you won't hear any engine sound. It'll be like driving a BEV. It'll be very smooth and quiet. That's very good for, like, you know, neighborhood driving, low speed driving, to give you maximum fuel efficiency. But to be fair, when you really dip into the throttle, or you go over a certain speed, or any kind of condition like that, it'll automatically cancel that EV driving mode, and it'll go back to what they call the E-Auto mode, which is displayed in the instrument cluster in front of you. Like I said, I mean, given the performance, the feature content, the fact that this is less than $40,000 all in, I think this is a really hard hybrid sedan to beat. But let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Let us know if you want to see other hybrid vehicles on the channel, sedans or SUVs. We're happy to bring it to you. But with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up this drive video. All right, guys, that's a wrap. What did you think of the 2024 Honda Accord Touring Hybrid? Is it truly the best mid-size sedan in the market today? I mean, we covered all the features, the tech, the hybrid technology in this vehicle. And again, keep in mind that all of this fully loaded is still less than $40,000 MSRP. Seems like a pretty good deal to me, but let us know your guys' thoughts and comments down below. Let us know if you want to see additional trims of the Accord on the channel. We already have the Sport L Hybrid if you haven't watched that video yet, but let us know if you want to see other trims or other hybrids. We're happy to bring it to you. So if you've joined us before, thank you very much. But if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. Thanks, and we'll see you at the next episode.